My webcam died, so you can see that I'm using the computer camera, which is broader view. Anyway, to follow up on the water climate energy nexus, I wanted to also include this more discussed food, water, and energy nexus. This is from FAO, which is looking at drivers of this nexus on either side. So there are some issues here and some there, and the goals and interests are up here. Different social, economic, and environmental goals and interests related to water, energy, and food. So managing the nexus involves scenario developments, stakeholder dialogues, collecting evidence, and charting out the response option on the resource basis, obviously, which include land, water, energy, labor, and capital. So there is some bioregionalism there in terms of the watershed which is being managed. You have population impacts, urbanization obviously, diversifying and changing diets, so food demand, cultural and societal beliefs and behaviors, how people treat water and water bodies in general, and climate change. On this side you have drivers such as governance, jurisdictions, shared boundaries, shared water resources, sectoral policies and vested interests like riparian regulations, international and regional trade, markets and prices. So there is the virtual hydrologic cycle where grains are grown and exported by countries like India and Pakistan, which actually are literally exporting water with that, or even within the country when Pepsi or Coke or other local producers of sodas and other food products actually can be bottling them in a place that's water poor and exporting them to a place like Mumbai, which is very water rich in many ways. Industrial development, agricultural transformations, technology, and innovation. Okay. Coming back to green infrastructure, this claims green infrastructure builds resiliency. This is from EPA, so it's kind of a information site for this particular aspect. Vegetation-based green infrastructure practices can mitigate carbon pollution. Yes. Build green infrastructure like rain gardens, permanent pavements to manage flooding. So basically whenever you urbanize, you increase the runoff rate for the same amount of rain, but you can include green infrastructure that we will look at a little bit more, like these. So rain gardens and permeable pavements and so on. Reduce dependence on imported water and save money. Let water soak into the ground to recharge local groundwater supplies. That's always a good idea. Keep water local. Capture runoff in cisterns and rain barrels to produce municipal water use. So to reduce municipal water use. Plant trees and green roofs. So this is like a rainwater harvesting. Sorry. Plant trees and green roofs to mitigate urban heat island effect. So you reduce energy use by basically having, you can see that the building tops here have these green, which can reduce the temperature and energy use quite a bit. Use living shorelines, buffers, dunes, and marsh restoration to reduce the impact of storm surges. Living shorelines is kind of a natural solution as well, where you use natural defenses to reduce erosion impacts of sea level or filter nutrients coming off, etc. This is an example I took from this paper showing various green roof green technology ideas. So green roof we mentioned, green wall. There is even vertical farming now being done in urban centers, gardens of course, neighborhood and streets, so grass, shrubs and street trees, neighborhood local square, shared grounds, or could be a community in a housing complex, playgrounds, water plaza, small parks, main roads have street trees, canals, grass strips. At city parks you have wooded park, recreational park, and water-rich park. So You have seen these, not necessarily thought of them as green infrastructure, but maybe you're not also aware, other than the beauty of it, what the functions are in terms of reducing impacts on water quality, quantity, runoff, coastal pollution, etc. So that brings us to water quality, supply, and infrastructure improvements as the next topic. So renewable water, freshwater resources per capita from 1962 onwards. You can see that a place like Brazil, which gets plenty of rain in most of its places, 70,000 meter cube per capita down to about 30,000, more than half. So reduction of a lot by from 1962 to about 2014, and the trends are not improving as of now, so it would have gotten worse to 2020. And then there are other countries like United States, which is remarkably less than Brazil, but its population and land area is big, and water is not a huge problem, other than places like California, which is climatologically a dry place. So population over California is, plus the agriculture is just putting pressure on water resources. World as a whole, China, India, Pakistan, Egypt are way down there, but they are also decreasing. So that's not good news at all, especially when you consider other aspects of the scales of water scarcity and fragility challenge. There are 2 billion people living in countries where development outcomes are affected by fragility, which is basically vulnerability to climate impacts and social inequities and so on, and the access to water, as we saw before. So it always comes down to quantity, quality, and access, right? So $260 billion in global economic losses from inadequate water supply and sanitation services. 46% of the global poor are projected to be living in fragile context in 2030. $120 billion from expected annual property damage due to flooding because of climate change. 95% refugees and internally displaced live in developing countries originating from the same 10 conflicts since 1991. So there is this ongoing battle with climate, which is usually not a proximal cause. It's not something that is immediately causing these, but it's a ultimate cause, in the sense that if you have a place which is fragile in terms of its water resources, and then climate change adds either extreme events or droughts, extreme floods and droughts, then you're obviously going to increase the number of conflicts. There is plenty of literature now on this, showing that in fact even El Nino causes some conflicts, but climate change is more sustained impact, negative impacts, which clearly enhances conflicts.